Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight to the PTSA Council's Candidates Night for the Williamsville Board of Education election. Tonight, our event will be moderated by Terry Parks, who is the president of the League of Women Voters of Buffalo Niagara. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Parks, who will go over the rules of the event.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. The opening statements by each candidate will be 2 minutes, and they will be given in alphabetical order by their first names. Closing statements will be done in reverse order. We expect that all presentations should be strictly confined to issues, not personalities. Claire Salek will be the timekeeper to maintain the time limits. We request the candidates, whoops, we don't need that one. Okay. Sarah will raise a card when the speaker has 30 seconds left, 10 seconds left, and a stop card when the time is expired. Candidates are expected to stop at the end of the sentence being spoken. Each candidate shall have 1 minute to respond to each question. Now, you were able to respond with questions on the Google form you received when you registered. If you have further questions or did not respond, you may use the same form to pose questions during the candidate forum. These questions should be worded so that all candidates can answer. Questions directed to one candidate will not be asked. And Sarah and Claire are screening the questions to make sure that they meet that and are not redundant, and that's it. Questions will be asked of all candidates in rotating order. For closing statements, each candidate shall be allowed 2 minutes for a closing statement to summarize their thoughts or reiterate points brought forth during the meeting. This forum is designed to be a dialogue between the audience and the candidates. It is not a debate. So for opening statement, I would like to introduce Crystal. Crystal Kasmarek-Bogner.
Yes, thank you and good evening. My name is Crystal Kasmarek-Bogner. I'm the proud parent of 2 students in our district. My son attends South and my daughter goes to Mill. We moved to Williamsville in 2014 so they could benefit from the wonderful educational opportunities available here. Since then, I've become an active and dedicated parent leader in our school community. I currently serve as co-president of Williamsville Special Education PTSA and on numerous district committees, including the Strategic Planning Core Team. In doing so, I have gained valuable insight into the functioning of our district and built strong relationships with our administrators, teachers, and other parents. My top priority is to help our district improve communication and transparency because both are essential to addressing any other concern. This will be especially important as we plan for a safe return to school. If elected, I would encourage meaningful input from all of you and other diverse stakeholders. Although I believe in adopting evidence-based policies whenever possible, any major decision-making process should also consider the views of our constituents. In these challenging times, it is imperative to address the well-being of our entire school community. Given my professional background in mental health, you can rest assured that I will prioritize enhancing wellness supports in our schools. Additionally, I recognize that the current financial climate will pose significant challenges in planning for the fall and beyond. My skill in advocacy, coupled with my strong problem-solving ability, which I refined while attaining my engineering degree, would benefit the board as we work to provide the best education possible for our students. Finally, given my motivation, time, and flexibility, I will accept stations as a school board member. I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Sinsabaugh.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm looking forward to getting as much information about the other candidates as you are as well. My name is Jason Sinsabaugh, and first and foremost, I'm a father of 2 kids in the district, currently enrolled at Heim Elementary. They're in 1st and 3rd grade. It's been a wonderful experience over the last 4 years with them. We moved to the district back in 2015. Our teachers are great, the administrator is great, the school is great. So we've had an amazing experience here in the district. Over the last 4 years, I've been lucky enough to be able to participate pretty actively in the school, starting from when my oldest enrolled in kindergarten all the way up through 3rd grade, and now my youngest moving through K-1. I'm always a room parent with my wife. We volunteer as often as we can within the classroom. We volunteer for PTA events, and this past year I became the PTA treasurer at Heim Elementary. All those things kind of rolled in. It brought me here tonight, and I can't tell you enough of the experience with the PTA, working with some of the great parents that are on that, putting together some amazing events over the last year. It's unfortunate it was cut short, but there's nothing like experiencing the joy and the laughter of children at an event you worked hard to put on, knowing that they're making memories that might last a lifetime. I've always had a passion for education. To give you a little background about myself, I'm in the IT industry. About 15 years now. I've actually spent the last 7 years working remote, so I know what all you guys are going through right now as you're juggling, trying to figure out how to do work, how to teach, and balance your home life all in the same room. I think that, excuse me, my technical background can give me some strengths that the board might need in a time like this. Education and technology kind of go hand in hand. I'm constantly learning. I'm ever evolving in a fast-paced and challenging environment. And like I said, I'm running first as a parent with 2 kids in the district, so I want you to know that I'll be working as hard for your children as I will be working for mine. So if I'm lucky enough to get your vote, know that you'll be electing the hardest worker in the room with experience in solving challenging problems in an ever-changing, fast environment. And I'm motivated and determined to solve all the problems that we're facing today and those we're going to be facing tomorrow. Thank you.
And next, Matthew Clabeau.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm Matthew Clabeau, and Jason, I just want to apologize, a little distracted, some family issues in the background. So if you want someone to the audience, if you want someone who brings a wide variety of background to the table, that is good at sensing the direction of events and how different choices will play out, someone who takes different points of view into consideration and does not dismiss the thoughts or feelings of others, someone who looks for common ground to move forward on, then I'm your candidate, and I hope I have your vote. Some of what I bring to the table, I'm a political science major from undergrad. I've got a Juris Doctor, or also known as a law degree, and I'm admitted to the practice of law. I'm certified to teach art and social studies in the New York State's public school system. I've got a small law practice, a small business owner. I'm also a parent of elementary, middle, and soon-to-be high school students. I serve on the Amherst Conservation Advisory Council. I'm also on the Erie County Environmental Management Council. I consider myself well-traveled. I've been throughout parts of Asia and as well as Europe and quite throughout the United States. I've been a volunteer English as a second language tutor. I've got a lot of relatives who are non-native speakers. And also, interestingly, I recently took a mediation training. So I think that would help with conflict resolution on the board. And I hope I have your vote, and that's what I bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Michael Biscaglia.
Good evening. Again, my name is Michael Biscaglia. I first want to thank the League of Women's Voters for participating and helping us out in today's event. The Department of Williamsville for helping. And all the families that have joined us tonight on Zoom. I don't always get the best internet connection where I am house. If I go out, I apologize. But I've been a resident of Williamsville for over 33 years. I moved here when I was 4 years old. I've had a great success to be able to go through the school district here, Maple East, Middle, South. Same with my mother and my sister. I'm married with 2 children, one who is a first grader at Maple West, and one who will be going to Maple West in 2021. What I bring today is simple. I'm a teacher of over 15 years. I had taught in all different areas from special education to gifted programs. I taught in an alternative program with great success, which I helped platform. My wife is a teacher, my brother's a teacher, my brother-in-law is a teacher, my sister-in-law is a teacher. I have great knowledge of many teachers throughout New York, and I know certain policies that all these districts do that I could help implement the best parts of the policies here in Williamsville. I am running for school board first and foremost to ensure that the teachers and parents and students are at the forefront of this district. That's who I'm here for. I believe there needs better communication on the board.
Our next speaker
I
is
believe there needs to be better
Meyer.
communication between parents and families, students, and that's what I bring.
I think there's an
I'm not a teacher, but I have
Mike,
background in my bachelor's degree with communication and public relations. I'm here for communication because without that, we cannot accomplish anything. And we
All right,
need
Philip Meyer,
to
are you
start
ready?
that, and we need to start that soon. I thank you, and I hope to have your vote by June 9th.
All right. Is the playback resolved? Can I be heard? Everyone can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
You're loud and clear.
All right, great. So just to get started, to the PTSA, to the League of Women Voters, thank you for hosting this unique forum tonight for the Williamsville community and for all of the 8 candidates that we have. To the other candidates, I thank each of you for running, for sharing your ideas, and for giving voters choices. For all of those out there who maybe don't know me, I'm Phil Meyer. I'm an attorney. I'm a board member for the last 3 years. I'm a father of 2, and I'm a product of this district. I graduated from Williamsville East back in 2003. In my past 3 years on the board, I have tried to be a voice for others, no matter who they were or even whether I agreed with them. Your voice on this board is important. It's important to me, whether it's a student, a parent, teacher, bus driver, staff, or the guy next door. If you've brought an issue to me, I've made sure it was heard at the board table. I've spent the personal time with you on the phone, not because I feel obligated, but because I want to hear your thoughts and issues. I've also expanded the opportunity for you, the community, to come speak on issues at our board meetings, advocating for a second period of public expression at every meeting, a proposal which this Board of Education adopted. In the coming year to 3 years, our district, like many, is going to face, in my view, some of its most challenging years. COVID has affected our means of learning. It has affected our budget, and tough decisions are going to be made in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. I'm ready to take on those issues. You trusted me to advocate for you 3 years ago. If you still trust me to do so, I'd like to advocate for you another 3 years. Ballots are in your mailbox. I hope you'll vote for me, but I only urge you to vote whatever your conscience is. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Next is Ronald Schubert.
Thank you. Good evening. First, I would like to thank PTSA Council, specifically Sarah Smith-Ronan and Claire Salak for facilitating this event tonight. Also, thank you to the League of Women Voters who are moderating this important event, and specifically Terry Parks. By way of background, I'm a partner in the law firm of Phillips Lytle LLP, where my practice is limited to the representation of condominium and homeowners associations. As many of you already know, I'm a graduate of Williamsville South, as is my daughter Allison. I have lived in the district from the time I was 13 years old. I won't do the math. In 1999, I was first elected to the Williamsville School Board and have been elected 5 times thereafter. In 2017, I decided to take a break from the school board when I was asked to lead the PTSA Council as president. I was honored to be asked and served as president for 2 terms and remain on the PTSA executive board until my term expires next month. As a school board member, I worked with 3 superintendents over 18 years and also was elected president of the school board 3 times and vice president 2 times, as well as board parliamentarian. Over the years, the school board has had many challenges, including redistricting, enhancing programs, reducing class size, introducing recess, increasing our mental health programs, and staffing, and working to bring in a budget that was accepted by our community. Now that I've completed my 3 years with PTSA Council, and in light of the difficult times ahead, I'm ready to return to the school board where I can apply my knowledge and experience to the improvement of our district for the benefit of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan McClary.
Thank you. And thank you to the PTSA and the League for this opportunity. It's important for residents to hear the qualifications and opinions of all candidates. I am a current member of the school board and a grandparent of a senior. My background is education. I taught in Sweet Home and then went on to Damon College as an assistant professor and director of the Canadian Scholars Program. Because I believe in being a lifelong learner, I am also on the Amherst Youth Board, the Amherst Task Force for Healthy Community, Healthy Youth, the board of the American Association of University Women Buffalo Branch, and the Erie County Association of School Boards Executive Committee. All of these require me to remain current in best practices and legislation dealing with schools, students, and teachers. As a member of the District Strategic Planning Committee, we were working on ways to improve communication with both staff and the community, and on methods for meeting the needs of all students, and on exploring wellness initiatives. I would like the opportunity to continue on this important topic. As a current board member, I regularly attend school PTA meetings, forums, building meetings, and various events. I had many opportunities to hear from parents, and I actively listened at board meetings during public expressions. If I am reelected, I have 2 goals for myself and for our district. Making the schools safe and efficiently operating as the pandemic winds down is primary. Adapting and governing once we are normal is the second one. I look forward to answering your specific questions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And Swaroop Singh.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, PTSA, for organizing this at short notice. Is my audio coming in good? All right. I mean, for those who attended last year, I was a candidate last year too. I'm back this time. I'm 7A this time. And this probably shows how motivated I am to serve on the school board, to go through this 2 times in a row. My name is Swaroop Singh. I have 2 girls who go to schools here, East High and Country Parkway. They love their schools and I love their teachers. I'm a resident of Williamsville for the past 9 years. I have a doctorate from University of North Carolina, MBA from UB, and currently I'm working at M&T Bank. Earlier, I worked at Roswell Park for 13 years as a research scientist. I currently serve in the Amherst Youth Board with Susan and the shared decision team making at Country Parkway and in a number of Indian organizations. And as a part of this organization, we had a lot of community outreach programs where I organized diversity exchange programs with other communities. We organized free medical camps, fundraising for local causes, food donation drives for COVID healthcare workers, and children's events. And now, like all parents here, I'm a part-time teacher. I have a 5-point agenda which I want to work on if I'm elected to the school board. Like Crystal, I want to also give a lot of importance to healthcare programs, diversity programs, transparency and fiscal discipline, and more resources for technology for stress-free learning and environmental sustainability. Our schools are an important part of the community and they should reflect its diversity. 14% of our students come from Asian background, but they have no voice on the board. I offer a long history of professional and volunteer experience with my diverse background that set me apart from the current school board. Thank you.
We're going to allow Mr. Biscaglia to go again because he had technology issues during his presentation.
You can hear me better.
We're actually still having problems.
Switch rooms.
Would calling in be better?
Better? I can try. I'll try it from my phone, but I don't even know.
Unfortunately, we still really can't hear you.
I call with my cell phone. I'll try my cell phone.
Okay, I believe he is going to try his cell phone to try to get a better connection. We'll wait a minute and see if we can get him to reconnect.
Just a reminder, if you're in the audience and you have not submitted a question, please use the Google form link that was in your invite. Please submit questions. That's the only way we're going to be able to ask any questions in the panel.
And I think we should begin with the first question, and Bill might get Michael when we can.
We'll try to make sure that he has the opportunity to give a statement as well.
All right, the first question, identify a weakness in the district and how your presence on the board will help strengthen that area. And Crystal, you're the first person to answer.
Thank you. As I said in my opening statement, my top priority, which I also feel is a weakness in our district, is communication and transparency. I know that as we have moved to remote learning, there has been a lot of a discussion about ways perhaps the district could have communicated better with parents, better with the community about how we were going to move forward. And I know that this area is also a topic that has been discussed on the strategic planning team, which I am a part of. And I know, as Susan had mentioned earlier, we were just getting started with identifying some ways to go ahead and move forward and the action planning on that. And I would as well plan to continue to work on that. And I hope to also bring my strong communication skills from my mental health background to the board to help work on improving communication. Thank you.
Jason.
Thank you for your question. So I agree with Crystal 100%. Communication is definitely a weakness. One of the reasons I decided to run back in January was actually because of my technology background. And spending 4 years throughout the school district, I kind of noticed areas where we could use some assistance in that, maybe some more standardization. There was too much variance between teachers in the same grade, much less across the, from school to school to school. So if you're a parent with multiple kids in the district, you're probably having several apps on your phone or dealing with several different types of websites or communication methodologies in order to communicate with your teachers. And what we've noticed in the attempted rollout of the distance learning program was because of that lack of standardization and that lack of understanding around technology, you're getting a huge disparity between teachers providing education out and they're struggling figuring this whole thing out. So with my background in technology, I can definitely help in that situation. So if we have to rely more heavily on that come September, know that we'll have workable solutions and parents won't be struggling like we are today. Thank you.
Okay, and we don't have Michael on the line, do we? So next will then be Philip.
I'm sorry, to clarify, the question is what are the two issues most pressing in the district or something along those lines? I'm not sure I heard the question right.
All right, the question is identify a weakness in the district and how your presence on the board will help strengthen that area.
Okay. Yeah, I think, and it's probably a common theme, not just amongst candidates, but parents and everyone right now, I think a weakness has been communication. I think we were early on slow to communicate, and it caused a lot of frustration for students, for teachers, for parents. You see it with everything from lesson planning to prom to graduation. And I think with all the uncertainty, if we can communicate with people better, it'll help us all move forward. So I think my time is up and I'll let the next person answer that question. Thank you.
Ms. Parks, we do have Michael is back. If you could pose the question to him.
Michael, identify a weakness in the district and how your presence on the board will help strengthen that area.
Is my reception better? Okay, I apologize. I was on a Chromebook. I don't think they work as good as some other things. I think a weakness on the board is communication. I believe there was a lack of communication between the board and family members and the board and teachers. I've heard it from plenty of firsthand people. I believe being a communication major previously and also being in the education field, I can bring that to the board. I would promise to be waiting after meetings, communicate any way possible, and always be available to keep that communication open. Because without communication, you are going to fail to bring new policy, new innovative things into the district and help us grow and continue to be the great district that we are today.
Thank you. And Ronald will be next.
I'm going to go back to my old favorite subject that I've been talking about probably for 15 years now and haven't made a tremendous amount of headway yet, but I'm going to talk about mental health. I'm going to talk about our mental health counselors. When I started on this approach of working with the board and working with the district, I was looking to just make sure we had one social worker per school, which we didn't have 14, 15 years ago. And it was a struggle just to get that. Listening to our kids, listening to my own daughter, I see how important it is, the anxiety that they're under, and the need for us to increase our mental health services to our kids. And that's still going to be my number one priority.
Thank you. Susan.
Yes, I think it should be loud and clear now that communication is the main focus for us as a board to be working on next year. the fact that we have that as one of the tenets in the strategic plan means that it is already in writing, that we know we're going to look at ways that we can improve communication. Plus also, we are taking very seriously all the things we are hearing currently from community members. And so hopefully I will have the opportunity to be back on the board again next year, and communication, as far as I'm concerned, will stay right there in the priorities. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Swablu.
Well, I agree with most of my panelists that communication and transparency is very important. But if you ask me, personally, I think we need to work more on diversity, because diversity is what teaches our kids how to live in a society where everybody is unique. There's been a lot of progress in our schools. They had a few programs in like my daughter's school, Country Parkway, but there's so much to be done. Kids have to learn that diversity is a positive thing. They need to celebrate diversity, and there's still so much work to be done. I think I can bring that unique voice to the board because I have the diverse perspective which the board doesn't have now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then it is going to be our second question. And Jason will be the first person to answer as soon as we have the question.
I think we still have one panelist who has to answer.
Oh, Matthew. I'm sorry, what happened?
That's okay. Thanks.
Okay, Matthew.
So, yeah, thank you. If I may, so one weakness, okay, not the only weakness, but one weakness, I'm going to build on what Sarup was saying, but you've got bullying in general, and it's maybe not over the top, but it's there. And what Sarup's talking about with the Asian experience, that's something I can relate to. I'll maintain a little bit of privacy with my kids and my wife and that, but if a kid looks Asian, they're often otherized. And I find my experience when I've called teachers and that, and I do respect the teachers, okay, some wonderful teachers, they don't really understand that that's also prejudice. And that's one thing that I bring to the table because I do understand. And I'm not sure I went with my time. I saw the card go up and now it's down. Is it up or? So, okay, so it looks like I can still go. So I do bring some understanding of that to the table. I know what it's like to have your kid otherized and be, so I think there's a way to build buy-in so that we can get kids who maybe are not perceiving themselves as diverse to also have buy-in in that issue. And I've got some thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew, and I apologize. Now we need the second question, and Jason will be the first person. It is often a challenge for school districts to provide twice exceptional 2E students with the resources and assistance that they may need. Since law requires these students to provide that their educational needs are not being met, how would you propose that the district consider these specific situations in an effort to expand teacher training about twice exceptionality and in an effort to expand programming for twice exceptional students?
Well, thank you for your question. And as a parent, and I have no experience in this, and I'm going to pretend that I'm going to be able to answer this question as thoughtfully as you want. But I will say that I have had experiences getting some additional help from my child as well when we first started in the district. And there is a lot of red tape to get any sort of additional assistance for your children, no matter what they need. My goal would be to reduce that. We shouldn't be spending 6 to 8, maybe a year worth just trying to get all these reevaluations happening in order to get your child the attention they need, no matter what that is. So if I was to work on the board, know that I'll be working diligently to kind of cut through some of the red tape, make some of these things a little bit simpler for you guys to do, and take that burden off the parents who have to constantly be those advocates for their kids in order to get something happening in the district. I think Ronald had mentioned with the mental health thing, if there's roles that we can fill that we currently don't have filled, I'd be interested in learning more about that, especially through my first year on the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Matthew.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat that question?
It is often a challenge for school districts, to provide twice exceptional students with the resources and assistance that they may need, since law requires these students to prove that their educational needs are not being met. How would you propose that the district consider these specific situations in an effort to expand teacher training about twice exceptionality and in an effort to expand programming for twice exceptional students?
So, I'm sorry, but by choice exceptional, for people who might not know what we mean, we're talking about gifted, or are we talking about traditional categories of special ed? Okay, so I would answer that in general. I think we need to have the training. We have a budget we have to work with, and we have a certain amount of money that we can allocate. So I would want streamlined, solutions for that, going out to the different teachers and building general awareness about the different learning types and the different needs of the different students. And I find that, a lot of the gifted programs are very helpful to give those kids who are in those a particular niche. And that's how I'm going to answer that question. Thank you.
Okay. Michael.
Thanks. That's a great question. Again, I hope I'm not having any technical issues anymore. But being able to work in an alternative school prior to this, through Cheektowaga, we had many different students that had all different types of disabilities and were also gifted. And we were able to bring in certain programs and professional learning to help the teachers develop programs specific to individual needs. Which is essentially IEPs and other types of things, but it doesn't include just disabilities, it's gifted as well. I'm able and know those resources. I could help to bring those resources to Williamsville and build on those programs to help build successful students and make sure they are getting the learning that they deserve. Most importantly, general ed teachers need to be taught these great lessons as well to help them succeed in teaching these students as well. It's not just the special ed teachers. We need to look at the general ed teachers as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip.
So I think as with most issues, you start with the people who feel it the most. And I think it all starts with a conversation with students and parents about what their programming is like and what they feel they need. And from a board perspective, you can't really individually step in and do anything, but what you can often do is facilitate the next step and sit them down with the right assistant administrator. And if there's a broader consensus on the board to be able to provide certain resources or institute programming, then you can get those kind of things moving. But it all starts with a conversation with the people affected.
Thank you. Ronald?
I'm going to follow Phil with that. I'm hearing a couple different things here, and it almost sounds like a communication problem. It sounds like we're not meeting the needs that we should be meeting. We certainly have the staff. We certainly have the staff to draw on, but I'm going to have to follow up with Phil and say maybe it's a conversation, maybe it's more advocacy on the part of the parents and more communication with our teachers. But there's really no excuse for us not meeting the needs of all of our students. Thank you.
Okay. Susan?
Thank you. I think that it's been stressed a little bit, but teacher training is the key to almost any particular topic. If you're talking about our gifted students, we do have a number of individuals in our district who have specialized in the gifted program. There are needs for the gifted students in all of their classrooms. There are more needs for gifted students who also have other issues. And I think that finding experts, I guess, to provide teacher training so that our teachers feel comfortable in exploring all of the options that they have available to them will help both the student, the teacher, and the classroom as a whole.
Thank you. Swaroop.
Thank you. I mean, I strongly believe that all kids should have an equal opportunity to succeed. And if they are double E, I mean, exceptional kids with disabilities, I don't see why the school or school board cannot go an additional step to make sure they get what they need. I totally agree with Phil that it all begins with communication. Like, you talk to the parents, see what they need, and you then work with the system to see what the school can provide. And the school cannot provide, we make arrangements with the community to see what they can help us with. But like what Phil said, it all begins with communication. You start the conversation, and the board can put a policy in place. If they're not in a position to help, they must be in a position to support the family to get help from somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. And Crystal.
Hi, yes, thank you. This is an issue I know quite a lot about, having been involved in the Williamsville Special Education PTSA, also as a mental health therapist. For those of you that don't know, Twice Exceptional is an individual with a disability and who is also gifted. So what often happens is the giftedness masks the disability, which is the reason that I believe this question is asking, that according to special ed law, you need to prove that your student needs particular services. And unfortunately, when you are twice exceptional, sometimes the giftedness will mask those disabilities. So I do think teacher training is a key. I do think we do have people available in our own district that would be available to provide those teacher trainings, and then making sure that all general ed teachers are trained in twice exceptionality, what that means, what that might look like. And then hopefully we can move forward with getting these kids the services they need. Additionally, I would like to say I'm also advocating on the state level to look at getting IEPs for kids who are twice exceptional. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And the next question is going to go first to Matthew. This is shorter. I wonder how you think the district did in its transition to online learning this past semester. What thoughts do you have about how the district could do better in the event of a similar school closure next year? Matthew.
So I definitely have thoughts about that. So I would say my middle school, some of it it's really hit and miss, I'm finding. And you know, some of the teachers are really, they're doing like some Zoom meetings with their students, and they're checking in. And then some of the check-ins are more almost, I feel some of the teachers I've heard are almost, to me, in my opinion, with all due respect, asking too much private information. You know, do you realize that the web is not entirely a secure forum? Okay. And so I do like the teachers doing online, you know, and checking in and having some class online and that interaction. I would like to see it more kept to school. I think parents could use a bit of guidance with having their kids maintaining a daily schedule. We found that's worked fantastic in our family. And I think that we should consider having that this situation might continue on longer given the nature of this virus and the kind of world we're entering into. I would think that we need to give online learning quite a bit of thought.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Another great question. Again, being a teacher, I had to live this both ways, having a son in school and teaching through distance learning. I did not think the district rolled this out very well. I think the teachers have done a superb job. I think it, again, goes back to communication. The district I taught in had a cohesive plan ready and set within 2 weeks prior to us being released from school, where we had certain programs up and ready, as well as packets ready until we could get that technical aspect back into it. Once we got the technical back into it, all district did the same type of thing through Google Classroom, using different forums such as Vocabulary and other educational programs out there. It didn't take for 2 weeks for us to have those educational programs here in Williamsville. I don't believe it was the teachers. I think it was a lack, again, of communication and cohesiveness at the top. And I think we need to do better in that if we're going to know we're going to be here again. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip?
Yes, thank you. So, not to sound like a broken wheel, because I know we've heard it repeatedly, but I do think it goes back, or starts at least, with communication. And part of that's communication also just with teachers, to let them know, what plan the district has going forward. And I also think part of the challenge was finding a single platform from which we make that transition to online learning in the beginning anyway. I don't know that everyone thought they were going to use Zoom. Maybe we're mixing it up with different platforms. I think we've resolved that going forward. I will say teachers have found their own ways of being innovative and involved with their individual students during all this. And as a catch-all, I do believe that if we find ourselves with online learning next fall, I think we're going to be better prepared as a district for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ronald?
Unfortunately, the rollout wasn't great. However, as I understand it, it has improved greatly. We're in a much better place now than we were a month ago. A couple of problems that I'm seeing is supporting our teachers in their new role. I mean, this is something new to them. And this is going to be done, I understand, through workshops, through peers, and using our technology integrators. Also, I think one important thing will be the fact that we're moving to a single platform, which will be G Suite, which will also improve our online learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan?
I won't repeat what we've been hearing from others, except the recap of certainly our first few weeks were quite rough, both for parents, students, and the teachers. And as we got into having the opportunity to talk with each other and work out some of the glitches, hopefully it got better for families and for teachers, and that over the summer there will be opportunities, I believe, for teachers to work on some of the different formats and things that they can do, so that in the fall, if we are not back in schools, that indeed we can have a bit more smoothness and transition to working not just with the students but with the parents, and how we can help them to weather this. Thank you.
Thank you. Swaroop?
Most parents had faced in the last few days. As a scientist, I can say that it's quite unlikely we'll go back to regular school in September, because there's no vaccine in sight. I really wish we do, but I don't think we do. We'll have it in time. And as far as my kids, my two girls go to school here, and I agree with all Ron and what Phil spoke earlier. Like, the initial rollout wasn't good, but I think the teachers stepped up. Over the next few weeks, I mean, my daughter's teachers came home to deliver packages. That was just outstanding. But the point is, when the school does open in September, and this does happen again, like we have to do remote learning, there has to be a training for teachers to convert their classroom training into remote learning. And that's something that teachers have to be trained in. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal?
Hi, yes. I'm pretty much echoing what most everyone else has said here. I thought that the district did not do a very good job of transitioning to the online learning. I believe in a large part it was due to communication. And I do think that it's something, again, we are working in strategic planning to try to improve that communication and consistency throughout our district. One thing I would like to mention that hasn't been mentioned is I did appreciate when the board heard comments that they tried to do something about it. There were best practices that were developed. There was the idea of going to one platform, the G Suite platform. There was the idea of having all of our teachers trained in the professional development. So I think although we were playing catch up in the end, I think that the fact that the board listens and responds, and that would be what I would intend to do as well. I do think it would have been nice if we had some sort of forum at the get-go to try to resolve some of these issues earlier on. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jason.
Thank you very much for my question. So this is actually a perfect example on why I'm running for the Board of Education. We need more experience in the technical field in the background that I have that can really bridge that gap between education and technology. Not having that voice, it rolled out, and that rollout was a failure. In IT, you have to be prepared. You have to be proactive. You cannot afford to be reactive. If something's failing, your company is out of business. It's not working. You're not, nobody can do their job. That's not going to look good on you as an IT person. So I literally have to think of like every possibility, whether it's tomorrow, a week from now, 2 years from now, even something ridiculous like an asteroid taking out a data center. So back in January, February, when we saw countries closing down, there should have been more communication for sure. There should have been some planning, and like Michael said, other districts were going through and having packets ready, buying themselves some time. Know that if I go on the board, you'll have that expertise on there. So when we roll things out in September, it will be a lot more fluid. We won't be playing catch up, and there'll be a lot more proactivity, especially from the technology side. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jason. And are we doing one more question? Okay, Michael, you'll be the first to answer this one. With COVID-19 outbreaks, there are fears in the Chinese American community that they might be viewed and treated differently merely because of their national origin. What is your take on this issue?
Unfortunately, in part of my opening statement, I was going to talk about creating a whole child environment. What that means is making sure we teach not only just the educational aspect, concentrating on test scores and Williamsville's got to be the #1 district. We need to concentrate nowadays on a holistic child. We need to teach them social, emotional skills that I believe this generation is lacking. If we need to build up programs that do that. Again, I always refer to this, but teaching in alternative school, we had many programs to develop and help kids that had problems with social emotional behaviors and things like that. And again, there's professional development out there that the Board of Education can reach out to help teach teachers how to teach our students that. Even have programs such as restorative justice to help our students. That is a great resource that has not been used in this district. And those things like restorative justice can help build that community feeling against those type of thoughts and fears. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Philip.
I understand that concern. I think it's a heightened concern with COVID. I think it's real. I don't think it's widespread in our particular community, but it's there. And all I can say is that as a school board member responsible for the safety and well-being of everybody that walks in and out of our district, I will never let anyone's children be subjected to prejudice or unequal treatment because of their national origin and any fears that people associate with that. That's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Ronald.
I'm going to answer this a little differently because I guess I learned a lot from my daughter over the years, and our kids don't necessarily reflect what and how the adults feel. Our kids, our Williamsville kids, are very diverse, of course, and very accepting of each other. So I don't anticipate that this is going to be a problem at all amongst our kids, only because of the way they are and the way our schools have instilled in them the importance of respecting each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan?
I think that it's very, very important to respect people's feelings, and we can have conversations about saying this shouldn't happen or it shouldn't be, but it's what people feel. And so therefore, what we need to focus on is working with, because our main focus is our students, to continue working with our students on their perceptions and their actions in dealing with others in their schools. A good example is a committee that I was on this past 2 years, the Superintendent's Inter-High Advisory Council, which brought students of all 3 high schools together. And we talked about a lot of topics. And that's an example of a place where students' feelings and perceptions can be brainstormed on how they can feel comfortable and feel that they are being accepted. Thank you.
Thank you. Swaroop?
This is exactly what I'm talking about. We need more diversity education in our school. If our kids know the difference between different cultures and appreciate the differences, then this question doesn't arise. If the people asking this question, it means we are not doing our job well. We need to make our kids more aware of different cultures, different differences, different ethnicities, so that they don't ask questions like this. See, I come from a minority community too. I'm an Indian. And I have a lot of friends in Chinese community, and they have asked me the same question. When I tell them the same thing, we need more diversity education in our schools so our kids grow up to be better than what we are. They are more aware, and they make more wise decisions in what they do in life. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal?
Yes, I agree with what Swaroop said. Inclusion and diversity is very important to me. When I was employed at UB, I volunteered to be on the Inclusion and Diversity Committee for the Professional Staff Senate there. I do believe that diversity education is important. I also believe that the social emotional learning is important. And I'd like to just correct Michael, we do have restorative justice practices that are being piloted in some of our schools right now. And I would love to see that expanded to all of our schools. I've been fortunate enough that my daughter has been involved in the pilot program of that at Mill. And it is amazing to me how supportive those kids can be of each other, regardless of any differences that they have or that they see. So I would continue to support those type of programs, and again, teacher training if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason?
Thank you for your questions. So I agree as well with Swaroop. I don't think these questions, should even need to be asked. Obviously, if something isn't happening right either at your home or through the school, diversity is important because it doesn't exist in every area, but it shouldn't matter what your ethnicity is or what your background is. Personally for me, that's what we're training our kids to do at home. I think every parent needs to take that to task. Unfortunately, in today's society, you're hearing ridiculous things like this coming down from people who are in important positions, and that's going to filter down into the kids who are unfortunately going to be acting it out in the community. I'm not aware of how widespread this might be in the community, but even one instance is much. And as a board member, I would definitely have my ears open. Feel free to contact me on any of these issues. One of the other platforms I wanted to run on was security. And when I talk about security, it's not just physical security of the school, but the bullying we had talked about. I think Ronald brought that up earlier. And you want to make sure bullying takes many forms. And this is just another ugly, head of bullying. We want to make sure that our kids are getting all of the support they need if they are facing this situation. And hopefully we can have this in the bud from a school side and from a home side as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Matthew?
So that fear is completely real, and as I mentioned earlier, these little slights were there pre-2016, and they were there, and it's even worse now, and it's going to be way worse, okay? Because the media. So for one thing, imagine, and I understand this. Imagine you got a kid who's a pride and joy of your life, and his dad looks one way, his mom looks another, and just the way society goes on their quick judgments. They're going to pin this kid into a certain category. And you got other people thinking, oh, everybody's enlightened now. And they're not, okay? And your kid goes to school and he hears, oh, Chinese kid with a haircut. He goes to school, there's new, and then you reach out to the teacher, and I really like that teacher, okay? But you reach out to the teacher and you hear, oh, they're kids, they don't understand. Would that have been the same reaction if it was a different group? I really don't think so. And I'll tell you what's going on in our culture. You've got a couple things here. You got constant China bashing. Okay, they're used as the constant scapegoat. And so the way you get buy-in from people who don't consider themselves diverse is you've got to show, look, at one point in our history, you had the Know Nothing Party. This is a very undertold part of history. They did not want Irish Americans here. But today, most people who are consider themselves Irish or white, they're not knowing that their group was also receiving hatred at one point. But they got to, my time's up apparently. But anyway, this is an issue I'm definitely aware of, and I want to address immediately, proactively.
Okay, and thank you all. Now it's time for closing statements. We will be giving Michael longer, and Sarah, I'm going to leave that up to you because you're holding up the signs. But, pardon me?
I'd like to propose that we allow Michael to go first and give his opening statement, and then allow everyone to give their closing, and then he can give his closing at the end. Is that agreeable to the parties?
Perfect. Okay, Michael, are you ready for your opening statement? Thank you.
Yes, for the third time. Thank you, candidates, for letting me have another open statement. I appreciate that. I would just wanted to say thank you to everyone for having us tonight. I mentioned in my opening statement that I'm a lifelong Williamsville native, along with my sister and brother. I have family that attend here. I'm a stakeholder here. I'm invested in this school district. I'm here to assure that first and foremost that teachers and students are put first, that families are put first. I want to bring and support policies that provide the greatest atmosphere for learning and teaching. I want to continue to improve our special education program in the district, ensure that all learners have an availability to learn in this district. I want to ensure that parents and teachers, I will always be there and communicate with you and be an open book and be honest. I want to support policies that are creative and innovating in a way that we can be cost efficient with our budget, because we know that budgets will be a problem in the future. So we have to make the best of that. That includes working on our representatives and our Board of Regencies to getting the state funding that we need to create reduced class sizes and programs that affect some of the questions that you have already addressed today. You know, the twice exceptional students, IEP students, an array of learners. I want to make sure that I support teachers and families of this community, and will make sure I'm available to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And now we go on to the closing statements, and we begin with Swaroop.
Thank you. 2 minutes or a minute? Okay. To paraphrase my daughter's favorite book, Riordan, fairness does not mean everyone gets the same. Fairness means everyone gets what they need to succeed, both personally and academically. That's what I want to make sure our school does. Our wish list is very long, and we don't have that much money. We may have to make hard choices soon because of the financial situation. As a board member, I will work with parents, teachers, and community members to find solutions that do not compromise on the education of our kids. But we must also not lose sight of our long-term plans to create safe school environment, stress-free environment, 100% graduation rates, and kids who are environmentally conscious, and they have all the opportunities to succeed. Change will not happen overnight, but you have to keep working at it. Thank you, everyone. And I just wanted to mention my key points once again. Mental health programs, diversity and fairness, fiscal responsibility, and environmental awareness. And these are the things I'm very passionate about, and I'll advocate for this when I'm on the board. As an independent board member with professional management training and a trained researcher, I will examine all options as it affects all stakeholders involved, students, parents, teachers, community, before I take any position on the subject. I have multiple graduate degrees and I love learning. That's pretty obvious. But this I bring to the table along with my experience, and I know I'll be an asset to the board. Vote 7A. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan.
First, thank you again to the League of Women Voters and the PTSA Council for making this event possible, especially with such a short time that we had. To quickly recap in terms of what we talked about this evening, if reelected, I do pledge to work on communication. I can certainly spell communication with all capital letters in that it really has moved to the forefront of areas that we need as a district to have better responses and results. I would like to help with the transition in whatever the school looks like come September. And I would like to return to the board to continue our progress during these upcoming times. With so many unknowns, it is important to have someone with experience, familiarity with past events, and the creativity to find unique solutions if necessary. My actions, decisions, and votes over the last 3 years should indicate that I am qualified to be reelected. I ask for your vote and thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Ronald Schubert.
Thank you again to everyone who facilitated this event tonight. And thank you to all the candidates for running for school board, for your dedication to our children. This is what it's really all about. The year ahead, as we know, is going to be a difficult one. Due to the COVID-19, at this point in time, we don't even know if we can reopen in person in the fall. To make things worse, we have to remember there will probably be a loss of significant sales tax revenue, plus a possible 20% cut in state aid. With my 18-year experience as a leader on the school board, I'm confident I can work with the other 8 board members and the administration, excuse me, to do what is best for our students and the district. I would sincerely appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip Meyer.
Thank you again for tonight's event. You know, I've always been a person of giving a voice to others, and I don't mean that in the sense of, you know, my voice is any louder than yours, but I think when you're on a board, you have a duty and an obligation to bring other people's issues to that board, whether you agree with them or not. I have the empathy to relate to anybody. I have the personal commitment and interest in you to want to know your issues and to be a soundboard on the board for those. I have the commitment to advocate moving forward. I've shown the ability to make tough choices. The next years are going to be tough. I want to continue making those tough choices for the district. And at the end of the day, we have 8 really great candidates who are committing personal time to advocate for our kids. So hats off to all 8 candidates. And I urge everyone to go, again, vote your conscience. But thank you for the event tonight.
All right, thank you, Michael. Matthew?
Thank you. So I believe we will be heading for budget cuts or should be prepared for this. And as we enter that, I think it's good to have somebody who has some business experience like I do and is used to having to make some tough choices and understanding what's essential. And I think what's essential is that we maintain in this environment that our kids can find opportunity, can find who they are. And that's what I want. And I'm very inspired by some of the things I've seen at the Williamsville School. And I know it can be built on. And I want our kids to be able to find their opportunities, find their niches, and I want them to be nurtured. And I realize the bully-free environment is a very difficult environment to create. There's a lot of challenges with that, but I want to help with that. And I do believe we'll be needing to be more prepared for distance learning. So again, I think it's important we bring people to the table who have a wide variety of experiences and a wide knowledge background. Because in my world, you know, we had no illusions that COVID-19 was very likely going to come here. We were not living in denial about that. So if you want somebody who, as I said at the beginning, brings a wide variety of background to the table, has a good sense of understanding the direction events are going, who takes different points of view into consideration, which I do. I don't dismiss other people's thoughts or feelings, and I like to look for common ground and how we can move forward on common ground. Then I'm your candidate, and I hope I have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason.
Thank you very much. Like the rest of them, I definitely want to thank all the candidates who are running this year. I always appreciate anyone who is going to step out into the public limelight and you know, do what you think is best for the community. I want to thank the PTSA and the League of Women's Voters as well for this event. I gotta say it's been awesome to be moderated by you guys, because watching other you know, election debates was always appreciative of everybody who were moderating those events as well, and now I can participate in one. So the best candidates for this upcoming and challenging time are going to be those ones that are going to be adaptable. Someone who can face rapidly changing environments that are difficult to plan for. We don't need the old guard who have shown that they have lacked this ability. As a systems engineer in the IT industry, I thrive in that fast-paced, challenging environment. Let's not forget I work from home 100% remote, so communication is key with me. I'm communicating in 12 different countries around the world with thousands of people over almost a decade. I'm used to using the tools that we're currently struggling to figure out. We shouldn't be playing catch up in the year 2020 at this point when it comes to technology. We should be able to be proactive in planning and not reactive in planning. In my experience in IT, I'm also constantly balancing a budget. IT is the epitome of doing more with less. That's what we're going to have to be doing coming forward, as we're going to be looking at tax revenue cuts and things like that. Distance learning shouldn't be looked at as a replacement for learning. It should be looked at as an enhancement for learning. So we should be able to provide a student who may be out due to sickness or illness or injury for a couple months with the same classroom experience he would get if he was in the classroom themselves. We should be able to have videos being recorded in our classrooms that our teachers can provide to our students. So parents are Googling somebody else's, you know, teaching instruction on YouTube is getting millions of views in order to help their child with their, you know, with their math or English or something. Williamsville should be the gold standard in this area, and other districts should be playing catch-up to us. If I'm lucky enough to get your vote, know that you'll be electing the hardest worker in the room who's experienced in solving challenging problems in this ever-changing fast environment. I'm motivated and determined to solve those problems that we are facing, not just today, but in the future. I look forward to the opportunity to earn your vote, and thank you guys very much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Crystal.
Thank you. I echo the sentiment. I appreciate all eight candidates who are here tonight, and I'm learning more about the 7 of you. I would like to thank our district, the PTSA Council, and the League of Women Voters for providing this opportunity. I hope that my responses have helped you to gain a better understanding of who I am, my priorities for our district, and why I would be an effective school board member. I believe that board members serve to represent our school community. This requires meaningful input and collaboration with all interested stakeholders. I hope to support an inclusive, welcoming environment where everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts, no matter who or where they are in our district. Additionally, I am passionate about advocating for public education and all of our students, whether they are in general ed or special ed, English language learners or native English speakers, excelling in school or needing additional supports to succeed. As reflected in our district motto, we need to encourage, nurture, and challenge each and every student to thrive in our schools, our communities, and our global society. I have already demonstrated my interest and ability to improve our district by actively participating in PTSA meetings, community forums, legislative breakfasts, and currently on 5 district committees. I have every intention to continue this work, but I hope to do so as a school board member. I have the strong communication skills, from my professional mental health background and problem-solving skills from my engineering education, and they are needed to guide our district during these challenging times. Again, I am confident that I will exceed all expectations as a school board member, and I would appreciate your vote for me, Crystal Kazmarek-Bogner, on your ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to thank all the candidates and also the people who we're not seeing on the screen, who are viewing this. And I hope that you learned tonight some information that will help you as you cast your mail-in ballot for this year's school board. You have fine people who are willing to represent you. And yes.
Ms. Parks, we were going to allow Michael to have his closing statement after the other candidates finished.
Go ahead.
Michael, would you like to go?
Oh, Michael, no. I think everyone made their closing statement in order.
No,
And
Michael
made
hasn't
his
had an
opening
opportunity to give his
statement.
closing.
I didn't call on Michael. I'm sorry. Michael.
That's okay. It's okay. I'll start with my technical issues. You're fine. Again, I want to reiterate thank you to all the candidates. It was very nice meeting you all. Wish it could have been in person. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the PTSA for putting this on in such short notice. The Board of Education is extremely important in a school district. I know that because I'm an educator. The best thing about being a board member is that your boss is the community. It's the families and the students that vote for you and technically are your boss. I want to be there to support them. I am great at communication. I have always been great at communication. I will be an open book, and I'm a doer. I want to be on the board and make sure things get done and policies get done. For example, restorative justice, I did not know were at certain schools. When you implement a policy, it should be district-wide, and it should start from the bottom up. It should start with elementary schools because you can't build a house with without a good foundation. I believe in social, emotional learning. I believe in teaching the whole child. And as a teacher, every day is a new day, and you have to be on top of it, and you have to be on top of every student. And things change in a blink of an eye when you're a teacher. And I know that I can put up with those changes on the board and make sure that I'm there to support every single family. You can't make policies that help everybody at the time, but you can make it for the majority. And again, it starts with communication. I hope that I am able to be voted in to help families and support the things that they need. I've been in contract negotiations before, and I know it's a very difficult time with how budgets are, but I'm prepared to fight those difficult times. I know many people are representatives and have the ability to reach out to them to push for more state funding that we so desperately need, not just Williamsville, but all districts. I think you need a doer in the board right now, and I hope to be there to help do things and create policies that help build Williamsville into the great school district that I went to. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for participating this evening and remind everyone that their ballots should be in the mail and they are due back to district to Lynn Carey, our district clerk, by June 9th. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Take care.